Another vlog update. Uh, Today I had a tough morning because I slept really poorly. I woke up in the middle of the night at like 4:30, and I was up for quite a while. And then I fell back asleep. I was trying not to go on my phone, but I did a little bit. But then I fell back asleep. I woke up. I had the worst headache, and then my back was killing me because I have a herniated disc. Still dealing with that. And then I basically just like barely got anything done. And I don't know if I prayed first, but I went back to bed and I prayed at some point. Like, tried to get back on my morning routine. I prayed at some point the rosary, and then my rosary broke. I actually felt like something was off, and then I looked and it was broken. And then I was asking God, like, please don't forsake me. Like, I was begging God. And I felt like just a warm feeling. Like the Holy Spirit or God's presence. God really listens if you talk to Him. It's amazing. It really is. And then I did my cold plunge. Like, I was in so much pain. I did not want to do the cold plunge, but I did it. And then afterward, I felt good. And it's kind of funny because it's like, I seriously did not feel good this morning. I felt so bad. I just had like a headache. Nothing felt good. Um, you know, I was just trying to like seek comfort as much as possible. And I did end up sleeping quite a bit more because I wasn't feeling good. And I had like the heater pad on my back because my back is killing me. But I did the cold plunge, and I think I meditated as well. And like, I think I was tearing up during meditating. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But I think that might have been what happened today. And it's because like when I do a meditation and I feel all the pain I'm in, is like, it actually makes me tear up. It's like so painful, seriously. And then the cold plunge helped when I did end up doing it. It took a while to get in there. But yeah, it's such a nice thing. It's such an important, I don't know about important, but such a helpful thing. Because it's just like pure cold. So it's like things that could connect people back to their primal something, like just like pure cold. It's like, you're just like a cold person. And your body just reacts and releases chemicals, dopamine and stuff. Cold plunge is really good for a lot of stuff. And then after that, get this, I had a weird dream at some point. I think actually after I went to bed again, after I woke up at 4:30, I think I had a weird dream. And it was like a vivid dream. It was like an intense dream. The night before, I was like writing in my diary, I know that sounds kind of gay, but I've kept a diary for like a long time. And I actually think journaling and diary is a good thing. It's important. But anyway, so I've kept one since I was like 16. And, or 15. So like 15 years already. And, anyways, I was diarying about like different stuff last night, and one of the things was like, I was like wondering about how to talk to people because I have like such terrible social anxiety, such a difficult time talking to people, being natural, feeling natural when talking to people, and not feeling awkward. And I was writing about like a strategy, like just talking to people and then having a rejection and a success counter. And I actually really enjoy this idea. It sounds weird, I know, it sounds strange, but I kind of enjoy this because then it's not like a really big deal if someone doesn't like me or if a conversation doesn't go well or if it's awkward, because I could just put a tick mark in the rejection category or a success mark in the success category. And But I was writing on there, I was wondering, like, well, after that, I wonder how could I evangelize? Like, how could I share my faith with people in person? Because that's actually really hard to do, seriously. So I have a lot of respect for people who can do that. And, like, uh, Bryce Crawford on YouTube, he's pretty good at that. I respect that he could talk to people about Jesus. Because it's like, I guess I just don't want people to laugh at me or something, but that's kind of cowardly. So anyways, I'm building up to it. But first I'm just doing like little conversations. And I had that dream that was like there was a car in front of me. I think there was two cars in front of me, and we were going around a curve, but it was an icy road. And then one of the cars went off. I think my car went off the side too, into the ditch. But it was the car in front of me that I was paying attention to. And I went over there, and the other car, there was like two other cars, and then me and this other person got out to check on the person who crashed the worst. And it was like some woman in there, and she was like cut, but it was kind of weird how she was cut on her arm, because there was no blood. But the other person was like helping her. I helped a little bit. I think we took like the windshield off, and then the other person was helping, and then I went back to my car and I like opened it, and I got like a book out of it, and it had all these notes in it, like sticky notes. And I opened it up, and it was like prayers. It was like faith stuff and prayers. And so I think this was like God telling me to write down prayers into a book, or faith stuff into a book, and then that would be how I could evangelize as well, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. And I'm not sure about dreams as well. In the Bible, people do get dreams. I'm just not sure about if you're supposed to interpret dreams or not, or what. But that was a really vivid dream, and I was journaling about it, and I was wondering about it. And I was praying to God, asking for like help and guidance on how to do that. And so I think God answered me. So I think that's amazing. And I don't even know how I feel sharing it, but if I should or not. But anyways, that did happen. And then this is random, but I was watching that stream by Clavicular, and he was talking about, he was like, it was funny. So he's like the Looks Maxer guy, and he's like taking a selfie with like a group of girls at some frat thing. And it's like such stupid humor, but it's so funny to me. After he takes a selfie with them, he's like, "We're worldwide, nigga." And the girls are like, "Ew." It's like so funny. That is so funny to me. Yeah, and then there was another part that was funny in that stream too. And he was walking around, and then like some huge black guy, like really buff, taller than him, black guy walks past, and it's like he like sees him and he freezes. It was funny. It was so funny. Oh man. That's legitimately funny. So anyways, yeah, and then I went to the gym today. It was hard, but I got myself to go to the gym. And then, okay, so my plan, my talking to people strategy, my plan, because I have social anxiety, it's hard for me to talk to people that isn't in like a scripted way, if that makes sense. And so for me to be outgoing, it's really hard. And so it like takes courage, but that almost like is the point, that it takes courage. And then so my goal, my strategy is talk to people and then, you know, tally it down if it's a success or a rejection. And I'm doing like warm approach, or warm people, like people that like I don't know very well, but they're just people that like I talked to somebody at the gym that works there, and I asked like their name. So in my thinking, that counts as a conversation because it's like a short conversation. But I asked the front desk girl, some like Asian girl, I said, "What's your name?" And then I asked like, "Is the gym closed tomorrow?" Because I already knew it was going to be closed tomorrow because they sent out an email because they're shooting a movie, so they're closing it down for the day. And then she was saying yes, and like I feel like I just kind of like babbled at some point because she was saying that they already started shooting nearby, and I was like, oh yeah, I saw them shooting nearby, and I like kind of missed what she said, so I just sort of repeated it. But then I was just like, okay, thank you. I kept going. But I feel like that was a success, even though it wasn't like a good conversation or anything like that, but it was a conversation. And that's my point. I'm trying to like talk to people, you know what I mean? That is like almost like out of my groove and out of my path. Because normally I won't talk to anybody, you know, unless they talk to me. And that's like, so the dynamic, I'm shifting the dynamic in a sense, because it takes courage, because I don't normally talk to people, let's put it that way. So it takes courage for me to do that, and it's like not that easy. And I almost have to like plan it out. So but my goal is to like do it more and more and more to like build up my social skills. You know what I'm saying? Because over like with the internet and like over like COVID and all this other stuff, and like it's like I don't really talk to anybody. Like if it's in an outgoing sense, I don't really talk to anybody. Not much. And that's tough because I think that it's not natural and it's not normal to just really not talk to anybody. And then I've tried talking to people online and it sucks. Seriously, it sucks talking to people online. I know some people, that's how their whole life and their whole friend base and everything, but I haven't enjoyed that in a while. But that is actually another part of my strategy. So I have like, my goal is to talk to people every day, and the easiest way to talk to people is online. You know, talking to people online is easy because it's very low risk. Like I could just, you know, there's different websites and stuff, and then there's like Discord servers and whatever, and I could talk to people. I don't really count like text. I think text is kind of retarded, but I mean like it doesn't meet the goal rather, and there's other reasons it's really annoying. But I feel like my goal is to like verbally speak. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like online, like that's an easy way. Like talking to people on Discord, I could try and do that. You know, every day, try and initiate a conversation. And here's the other thing. Talking to women is easier. Talking to men is actually harder. And it'd be hard to explain, but at least for me, when I talk to men, there's always like a kind of like a strange tension or defensiveness with a lot of guys over a certain age. Younger guys, not as much, but at a certain age, with men, they're always kind of like questioning or wondering, like, or like, but that's kind of like with everybody, even women. But yeah, it's more difficult, I would say, for me to talk to guys because it's like, why am I talking to you? You know what I'm saying? There has to be like a reason. But now my reason is just to build up social skills. So that's my strategy, and I'll try and do it, you know, online and then also in person as well. And I'm wondering in person, where could I talk to people? I don't know, but like I think an easy way to talk to people is talking to um, like people who are working. You know, if somebody's working somewhere, because then I can say something like a question, like an easy question, like um, what time does the store close? You know, and then they'll answer you. I know it sounds really stupid, but legitimately, I'm just trying to build up the courage to like just kind of talk to people in different situations. You know what I mean? And then ultimately, or what I would like is to be able to like kind of like spark up conversation with people just about anything. And more specifically, I would like to talk to people about, you know, shared interests. Like if I could talk to people about politics, religion, my book idea, something like this, I really like those conversations, you know what I mean? The thing is, though, it is very hard to talk to people about those deeper topics. So anyways, starting with easy stuff, but yeah, I'm just trying to do it daily or whatever and just build up my social skills, you know what I'm saying? And the other thing I want to point out is that it's kind of embarrassing and awkward, if I didn't make that clear. It can be embarrassing and awkward because sometimes people kind of wonder, like, what do you want? You know what I mean? And they might feel like awkward too, because a lot of people are very awkward as well. It's not just me, but yeah. So try and get a little better at talking to people, you know. And then after the gym, I came back home and then I worked on my book. I'm writing this book. It's about different realities. And I saw a YouTube video in my recommended. This guy is like stealing my idea. I'm kidding, but he's talking about the same idea. I didn't watch the whole video because it kind of pissed me off. But this Andrew Schultz guy was on Joe Rogan and he was saying that people live in different realities now. I was like, that's my idea. I'm not the first one to come up with that idea though. So, and honestly, we came up with it independently, but a lot of stuff is pointing to that. But to me, I'm like, okay, so you know what that means? The time is ripe. The idea is in the general consciousness of the shared consciousness of people. I need to finish the book draft or whatever and get it out. So I was writing my book, and my book was going well today, writing it. I got a little bit done. I'm getting close. I think my book draft is nearly ready. Once it's ready, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to share it with people. I'm excited for that, honestly. I'm excited for the feedback and see what people think. You know, and the whole purpose again of the book is to like encourage people or evangelize to people or show people or prove to people or however you want to put it, you know, that it's important to worship and praise God, the Father Almighty. I really think that's the most important thing in the entire world. That's like the reason we're here. That's like, in my opinion, you know what I mean? So I think that's really important message to get out there. And also one that nobody even really says much, and that the whole culture has shifted away from as well. So anyways, I'd like to share that. And then the other thing is that I had a chiropractor appointment, which went really good today, actually. The chiropractor, he's really good. Like, he's really helping a lot, seriously. Like, my posture is improving. Like, my neck and whatever is feeling better. Like, he was doing something on my neck. There's like, I think my atlas bone is like off or something's wrong, like out of place with it. And he was working on it and it was really helping. And then he was working on my herniated disc in the bottom of my spine, like the L5 and sacrum between there. And he was like pressing in there on a spot, and I was like so relieving as well. It like relieved up in my head too. And then after the appointment, when I was leaving and I was like driving, like I was walking straighter and all of reality seemed more normal too. Like my whole body, my whole nervous system was like more in balance. It's really, really a big deal. That's like a huge deal, seriously. I have to make that clear, like, and underline and underscore that's a big deal, because I have struggled for years, like a long time, with like a nervous system imbalance and everything, and it really affects your life badly if your like nervous system's out of whack. And like, so he was helping my spine, which like has like nerves going through it. That's the whole subluxation theory thing. But yeah, so it was really helpful. So I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to God that this chiropractor is able to help me. And then the other thing is that I was going to talk to, there is a pretty girl who's one of the receptionists there, and so if she was there and it wasn't like too stressful, like too many people, I was gonna try and like say something to her, not like trying to pick her up, but just practicing conversation, because at a different point she was like really nervous, like almost like seemed like she liked me. And I don't really like thinking like this, because what if she didn't and she was just nervous and whatever, and it was just like I was assuming. So fuck, fridge. But yeah, because she was, I don't know, I asked her name, and then she said her name, and then she was like, oh, your name is Sean, right? And oh, I have such a hard time remembering names, and there's so many names, and so she was like babbling. I just didn't even say anything. After that, she's like, I've only been working here for 2 months. I was just like, okay. I didn't even say anything. It's kind of funny. But honestly, it's kind of awkward too. Like, I don't know. My social skills are fried. But I was going to say something to her. I was just going to say, like, I was thinking about it. I was like, maybe I should say, like, Merry Christmas, or should I say, like, are you looking forward to Christmas? And I was like, no, that's kind of strange. And I was like, oh, I could say, did you help set up the Christmas decor? It sounds so stupid, but yeah, I was thinking about just like a small thing, a small conversation, just to practice on her as, like, again, like a warm approach, or like warm contact, somebody who I'm sort of familiar with already. And the opposite would be like cold approach, and that's more like dating and pickup terminology, where they say cold approach, you go up to somebody you're interested in romantically or sexually, and you try and strike up a conversation and ask for a date. But I'm using it more like just I'm going up to strangers I don't know, and trying to talk to them with just the intention of building up social skills. Eventually I would like to be able to, like, talk to a woman and ask for her phone number or something. There was like this study that said most women wish that they would get approached more. It was like 70-something% of younger women. I don't remember the age range. It was like under 30 or something. Wish that they got approached more. And I think it's like everybody's on dating apps. Everybody's on their phone. They're on Snapchat and all this other stuff. And before, like, if you watch movies and stuff, and maybe people say this, but people used to go meet each other at different places. They'd meet each other at church, through family, through friends, through work, through going to different stores, through the literal disco, through different events and stuff. But now it's like, people are on dating apps, they're at home, they're doom scrolling, and that's kind of the new reality. And it kind of sucks ass, to be honest. But it is tough, like, putting yourself out there. But I just kind of got to get over it and keep practicing, you know what I mean? And I don't mind it too much when I have like a goal. It's kind of not so bad. So, and again, it's almost like rewarding as well, because if I could have a conversation about stuff that I'm interested in, you know, conspiracies, politics, religion. If I could have a conversation with somebody about that, that would be awesome. That'd be ideal. It'd be hard to get there though, and obviously it'd be like kind of risky because people might think you're very weird. People are very cagey as well. But anyway, yes, I didn't talk to that reception girl today anyway. And then I went and bought some juice ingredients. I make a juice like a juicer juice with kale, celery, parsley, beets, carrots. I added ginger this time. And I took out the apples because they were too sweet. And yeah, I made my juice and then I drank that today. I actually did quite a bit today, as compared to other days. Some days I would do like nothing, seriously. Back when I was feeling like extremely depressed and super messed up, and they had me on all these pills, like the psychiatrist had me on. I was literally at one point I was on like 5 different medications at once. It was insane. And I went from like 0 to 5 super fast. That psychiatrist was nuts. She put me on so much stuff. But to be fair, I did say to her that there was like, she was like, it's weird how they do that. They like want, it's like some psychiatrists and doctors and stuff, they want you to tell them stuff that, so that they could like convince you to take pills, seriously. Like that's how it is. Like they first they ask you about your mood and stuff, and if you're feeling like a little bit off, then they'll like start suggesting like antidepressants and stuff. Like they do it really quickly. And they don't ask about any of the other stuff they should ask about, like relationships, work, you know, other lifestyle factors, diet and whatever. Like they don't really put much of an emphasis on those things, which can make people feel terrible. And they just try and go straight to pills really quick. And that's why there's a huge proportion of people that are on antidepressants and stuff. It's like 1 in 5 women, I think. And, you know, quite a few men. And, you know, the thing about antidepressants is I can almost like tell at this point when I see somebody who's on them, or who I think is on them, and I can almost tell, you know how? It's through the eyes. If you look at someone who's on antidepressants, if you've ever taken them yourself, it like expands your pupils. And so people with big pupils, I kind of like have an idea that they might be on antidepressants. Because I remember that when I was taking them. And yeah, anyway, I noticed that about the secretary at my doctor's, and also she's very like mellowed out and kind of like, you know, and that's kind of how you can be on those different pills, you know, you can be kind of like mellowed out and just sort of moving at like almost like a different pace, but like an even pace. Yeah, but it seriously. But anyways, so some days I was like barely doing anything. I was like, legitimately, I would not even be able to do anything. Because they had me on like 2 different antidepressants and 3 antipsychotics, I think. Some of them were like take as needed though. But it was nutso. And then they also, the thing is that you can be like gaslit in such a way about reality and about what you should be feeling and about everything, and left like so far out in the water by yourself where you like don't even know like if you should be taking all this stuff, and then you're on it and you like have the idea because they tell you, because it's a doctor, they tell you that it's going to help, and then you're taking this stuff and like you can't even tell if it's helping, and like maybe at first it's helping, but then it doesn't really, and it can be really horrible, seriously. So, yeah, and it's also, it's a tough topic too, because everybody's afraid of the topic as well. So you can't even hardly get a good conversation with anybody about it. Whew, it sucks. Seriously, it sucks. But that Joseph Witt-During on YouTube, he's really good about it. He's a psychiatrist. He's against antidepressants and overprescribing. Yeah, and that's everything for today. It was kind of a productive day, despite feeling like totally terrible in the morning. And yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna feel tomorrow. I'm trying to, like, still do all of my routine stuff. Oh man. My hope. You know what my hope is? My hope is that with the book idea, I could make a living off of it, if possible, because I'm really worried about work and careers and the future and everything, and also I'm worried about what people say to me about what I'm doing, But if I have something that I've done, and it's I could have a living off of it, then I'd be really, I feel like I would that would help, that would take a weight off in a sense. And also I'm passionate about it, so I think that's good. Yeah, that's everything. My thoughts are always going during the day, when I wake up, as soon as I wake up, and then throughout the day, I just have thoughts all the time. And I write them down a lot. I write down in my phone notes some of my thoughts. And I like to make these videos about it because at least I get to say them. But I'm always getting all these different thoughts. And it's tough because I don't really get to share them with anybody. But today, just an example, I was thinking about entrainment and attractor forces, and I'll talk about that more, but that's if you've ever noticed that, because I notice this at the gym sometimes, if you're working out nearby somebody and you do your set, and then if you're both doing a rest between sets, and then you start your set and they start their set right after you start yours, if you're both on your phone or just waiting, and then it's you line up, you sync up, your pattern syncs up, your rhythm, and it almost feels like you're working out with them. And I know that sounds crazy, but here's another example. It sounds crazy because you can't really prove it, right? But another example, and I've noticed this too so many times, I noticed this at church, is that when sitting there and having a conversation, there's a period near the end of the conversation when it's maybe people are thinking about leaving, and it's not, maybe you don't know, are people thinking about leaving? But then I'm sitting there and there's this period of ambiguity about what's going to happen next, and then I'm well, I'm going to head out now, and I get up, and then other people instantly are yeah, I'll leave too. It's okay. So that legitimately, that trips me up so much. Entrainment, rhythm, and energy and attractor forces trips me up so much with other people. Because it's legitimately people respond, you know what I'm saying? And it's not always clear if they even know it. And it's it's not even clear to me if I know it as well. I'll give an example, because sometimes I'll look and it's I don't even know why I looked, but I'll see it, someone was looking at me. If I look over and then I see somebody was looking at me and I look away, it's did I look because they were looking at me, or was it just coincidence? It's whoa. I know that sounds pretty out there, but I was thinking about that today. And yeah, when I think about the map of consciousness and about courage, so on the map of consciousness by David Hawkins, there's a cutoff line, and below it is like, you know, the highest you can get below the cutoff line in the force category is indifference. And once you go above that, you're in courage. So if you tell somebody, you know, have some courage, you know, do something you're afraid of, have some courage. For me, it's just talking to people. It takes courage for me. That, I believe that's in the power category. And above that, you know, you can go higher, but into like love and stuff, peace, love, joy. You know, there's different categories you can go into, but or levels, but yeah, it really, it's like these things like change reality, seriously. And I'll give another example, and Nick Fuentes was talking about this. He was saying that he was like, I act and other people react. And I was like, damn, that's true. I don't know if it was him, but he was saying that every time, maybe it was something else. It was saying like every time you act, or every time, he was saying like every time I act, it creates a new reality, and then other people are responding to that reality. And I was like, yep, that's true. That's legitimately true. Seriously though. Seriously. And then something like, for me though, like, cause I kind of like have like, I don't know, an intuitive sense of this, but, or always have, but I kind of want people to be along with me. So oftentimes I'm checking to see like what they're thinking, what they're want to do, if they want to do this or that. But when I do that, it changes the reality. And then it just like never works. So this is like something about being a leader. It's like you just kind of have to do it, because checking with everybody, that doesn't fucking work. That's how women try and lead, and it doesn't even work. Yeah, when women try and act like men, it never works, seriously. If you've ever worked with women or worked under women as your boss, it can get really tough, seriously. And I know people don't like to hear that, but it can be tough. And like having meetings with all women, and I worked in a social work office. Like, I have a psychology degree, but I took a job that sounded like a psychology job, and it was actually like a social work job. And I was working with a bunch of social workers, women, and it was crazy. And you could never get anything done, like in meetings and stuff, and everyone was pissed off. It was super draining, and people just wanted to talk a lot. Like, women just wanted to talk. They just wanted to have conversations, and they wouldn't even work anything out as well. They would just feel like they did. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do? But they had just like spent all the time talking in meetings, and it's so crazy. But that is legitimately how it is. And my metaphor for it, I was working there, and I remember writing this down. I was like, it feels like I'm working in a place that's a bunch of hoops with a bunch of people, and they're all just jumping through these hoops in circles. And some people are jumping through them closer to each other than others, but we're all jumping through hoops in here. And the thing about those offices too is that time is moving forward and money is going in and people are getting paid, but it is so confounded. Seriously. I'm not trying to put on any of those people down necessarily, because I think some of them had good intentions, I think. But yeah, it was crazy. It was seriously crazy. Holy crap. And actually, those offices are kind of evil, seriously. And this is something about like organizations, is that organizations, I've heard this before, corporations and organizations, they leave spaces between people where evil can get in. And I know that sounds weird, but it's true. And like, the spaces are like, people do stuff in a defensive way in these jobs. They speak in a defensive way. They they're always, talking about safety protocol. You're like bogged down with like so many different policies and everything, and it's so much reading and it's so much paperwork, and it's like, so it's almost like necessitates you not being able to do anything in a forward motion, because it's like you're trying to carry a swamp with you. And holy crap. And the thing is that they're dealing with like live people, like real people who have no idea how much of a mess it is. And it's like it's hard for the people working there to actually help those other people when they have a million like ropes around them, and they're almost like unable to. So because you can't tell anybody like the truth, you know what I mean, when you work in those jobs. Like you'll get fired, or you'll get like you'll get chastised, or you'll get fired or something, or it'll be a struggle session. I love that term, struggle session. It's like a struggle session is when they sit you down, and then it's like they don't tell you outright that you're being punished, but they try and like walk you through and like gaslight you into realizing that you did something wrong, and they want you to do it differently. But they don't want to outright tell you, because then it would be a what would you call it, a reprimand, or it would be like an official reprimand, like, oh no, we're not reprimanding you, but we just want to make you understand, or something like that. We just want to talk, we just want you to understand. It sucked. Seriously, it sucks working at places like that. It's so tough. And the thing is too, that you need the money. Like, you're like, well, this is a job, like I need a job, right? So it can get really brutal, honestly. But yeah, I think the degrees that people regret the most are like the humanities and social services degrees. So that's like social work degrees, behavioral science degrees, psychology degrees, which I got. I somewhat regret it, but not totally, really. I mean, as long as I can make a living, I'm fine. But I'm working on that. But I regret not, like, I don't like it because you're not able to say anything, you know? You're not able to say anything real or true. It's like, it's all baloney. Well, what you're allowed to do is like mostly baloney, you know? And that's tough, because if you're trying to actually help people, which I really actually do want to help people, like I like helping people, it's just hard to do that, for many reasons. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. But I feel like I can help people more like independently, because working under an organization, it's like, yeah, I don't even know if they can help people. And psychology, I don't even know if it really can help people all that much on its own. Mainly because psychology, they try and remove God from the picture, and I don't agree with that. Yeah. They're all about like basically feeling positive and happy, and that doesn't even really make any sense. And I've talked to psychiatrists, and they're so screwed up, because some of them, they're like, I don't even think the why matters. It's like, I was like, of course the why matters. That's the meaning. You know what I'm saying? Like, meaning really matters, because that's why you're doing something. That's what it means to you to do stuff. Like, otherwise you're like just blowing around in the wind trying to feel good all the time. And it wouldn't make sense that you feel bad. Like, so legitimately, you know, it's messed up. The field is messed up. Yeah, but I think that there's some good stuff out of it, though. But anyway, that's a digression.